Good morning, everyone. So my name is Anna. I am a student at Walla Walla University and also a summer intern at GemTalk Systems. And today I'm going to be telling you about a project that I've been working on for GemStone. In particular, it is a tool for statistics analysis of running GemStone databases. Now, what do I mean by that? Some background on what exactly we're trying to achieve here. GemStone captures a lot of statistics as it runs, and analyzing them can get pretty complicated and require a lot of domain knowledge. So for this demo, we're actually going to look at a more complex example of some steps we might have to go through to look for a particular problem as we analyze these statistics. And we're also going to see several iterations of ways to go through these steps. So what I mean by that is we will start with the old visual statistics display tool, and then we will move on to the new one that I've been working on. And then finally, we will also take a look at the new AI capabilities that I built into the new VSD. So this is just a little demo of the old, as you can see, VSD. So first thing we do is we load up a file, and we have to first look for it in this, to me, ancient looking file browser. And we wait for it to load up. And then what we see are some processes on the top. And then what we want to do is first we want to look for the MFC process. So what we're going to do here is go through look at the mark for collect cycle, which is part of the garbage collection. And the first step is to find the processes named MFC-something. We take a note of the process ID there, and then we look for the process that is Topaz that has the same process ID, and then we want to look at its statistics. So down in the bottom, there's statistics, and we want to find the primitive number. So there's no searching here or anything, no search field, so we have to scroll down and find it in the new chart to be able to see what the number is. So 877, that's what we wanted to verify that is. And I'm just going to stop right there for the old demo. This was pre-recorded, and I had to cut out a bunch of parts where it was just not working very well. So now I'm going to move on to the new one. This is the one I made. So the first thing you see when you open it up is you don't have a file open. So let's go ahead and select a file. We see the native Mac OS file browser finder, and we just open up a file. Same thing, we wait for it to load up. And now we have, again, the processes that we can see here. I'm just going to hide the year from the time just to get some more screen real estate. And then we want to, again, look for the MFC, but now we have a search bar. We can just quickly go ahead and find that process ID, and then we type in the process ID, and we find the Topaz process. Click that, and then we see the statistics, and we can hide the statistics that don't have any data, so we don't have it cluttered up. So if you see, like, we have a lot of statistics that actually don't have any data collected for that particular time, so we just hide that, and then, again, we can search what we want. Primitive number, and it shows up right there, and we can see, without even clicking in, it's 877 as we want it to be, and we can also see it chart right away as we click on it. We also want to take a look at the progress count for this process and see that it starts around midnight, and then it goes for about 45 minutes, and then it drops back down to 0 when it's done. And you can see the peak is about 1.5 billion. You can see that in the table as well as on the chart. And yeah, as I mentioned, it drops back down to 0 once it's done. That's how we know it's done. And then the next thing we want to do is look at a different process, the stone. And then we want to, what do we want to look at? Let's see, the possible dead objects. So this is a lot longer of a process. So we're just interested in the same kind of time. So what we can do is just zoom in by dragging. And that way it just zooms right into the chart, right into the place we want. And we can see our number of possible dead objects on the chart. So again, this is just kind of to demonstrate what this application can actually do, not necessarily to fully understand the particular process we're going through and what we're actually looking at here. So we are looking for now the session voting, and again we can zoom in to where we actually want to the time period that we're actually interested in. We can see a few different sessions that are voting starting around the same time as we were looking at before, 47 minutes. And it's a great time to demonstrate our multi-charting capabilities. So we can actually have two different axes, and we can have multiple things display at once. And as you can see, there's the very large axis on the right for the red line, and then a much smaller axis on the left for the blue line, and it automatically adjusts based on the range of the selected statistic and the selected time. Okay, so next up we want to look at another process, a GC admin, and we want to see some of the voting things it did. Again, we can zoom in to where we want to go and take a look. And we can see some things happening at the exact same time. So when we have the multi-chart, again, we can have it lay over, and we can have more than two. It's just we only have two axes. So if they're vastly different statistics, it's going to be hard to see. But if they're around in the same range, we can just put them on the same axis, and then we can have unlimited number of lines on the chart. And of course, we have a tooltip showing the time stamp and the exact values of the chart. So what do we do next? Okay, we go back to the stone, and we are looking at, what are we looking at? Reclaim count? Yes, so we're looking at some dead objects, dead not reclaimed objects, and we see something interesting happening as well. Right around that time, we see it jump and then slowly go down. And we're able to see kind of right where it happens. What's next? So as you can see, even with this new tool, it does take quite a while to look through all of these things manually. So we're actually going to see AI speed this up in just a moment. But yes, we're seeing these two statistics line up. This one's going down and this one's going up. And I think finally we want to look at what the pages are doing. So we look at the free pages statistic, zoom in again on what we want to see. And we're seeing how many free pages we have. So the pages are getting freed eventually. And then we can zoom out as well with that button. All right, so now on to the AI capabilities. What we actually have is an AI assistant built in to VSD, and the way it works is with an Anthropic key. Don't look at my key. But we can go ahead and just ask a simple question, such as, what are the different processes that we have here? And it loads up a tool to be able to look at the data, and then tells us we have 14,000 processes in this particular StatMon file, and it's over a full day, 24 hours. And then it breaks it up into some categories it thinks that are relevant and gives us a summary of what it has found. And actually another thing that is perhaps even more useful is we actually can, there's some repeatable processes that we can do. For example, looking at the MFC cycle that we just did manually, and I actually loaded it up as a skill, and I can actually just ask it, tell me about the MFC cycle, and I had a guide, an analysis guide that it is now reading that tells it step by step the steps we just did manually. It recreates those on its own. So it goes through and it uses a bunch of different tools that it has access to read the data as it's instructed in the analysis guide. And if we just wait a bit for it to load, we will see, oh yeah, yes, so it uses a bunch of tools. I don't know if you can see, but the little light gray things are all each individual tool call that it's doing. So once it's read all the data that it needed to read, it now gives an overview. So it actually found that there's 24 different MFC cycles. We only looked at the first one by ourselves, but it decided to take the second one to tell us about. And it tells us, same as we looked, it shows us where it started, when it ended, how long it took, and the max progress count, how many objects we had. For this one, it was about 1.8 million. Then, if you remember, one of the next things we did, we also looked at session voting, and it tells us when it started, when it ended, how long it took, which session took the longest to vote. And then the next, something else we also did previously in our manual steps was looking at the dead objects. So it looked at those two. It found the possible dead objects right as we ended scanning, and the dead and reclaimed objects after we were done voting. And then, of course, the next thing we also looked at was reclaiming objects. It gave us some statistics about that. I think my video is lagging a little bit, and then we have page reclamation as well, looking at the free pages, and then it gives even a full summary, or a short summary of all of the MFC cycles, not just one. And then it even gives a little summary of things it thinks is important to note. Right, and then, yeah, and that I think is really cool because, as I mentioned before, analyzing these GemStone systems does take quite a bit of domain knowledge, and being able to put that all into guides that an LLM can read will significantly lower the barrier to entry to being able to figure out what on earth is going on in your database, why is it not working, why is it running slowly, things like that. So some of the next steps for this is, of course, right now it's running as an AI assistant built into to VSD, but what we're working on next, or what I'm working on next, is being able to use it externally. So with something like Claude Desktop. Right now it's working as an MCP. But the AI assistant is connected to the MCP all in the app. So the next step is to not have to use the API keys and pay for the tokens directly. Next step is to be able to use your subscription in something like Claude Code, Claude Desktop, or if you're not using Claude, literally any other AI provider that allows you to use MCPs, which is most of them. It's the hot new thing. So yeah, that is what I've been working on for the past few months. Any questions?